You know when in-car innovation is as yet the safeguard of early adopters when your passengers are transfixed with a wide look at your most recent doohickey. Thus it is with versatile digital instrumentation, or to squeeze Audi's speech, the Virtual Cockpit. Basically, Audi's Virtual Cockpit replaces your typical simple dials with a versatile TFT screen. That implies you're ready to utilize it much like an infotainment framework, raising everything from music playlists to satellite navigation bearings and everything in the middle. It's not touchscreen, and ordinarily depends on voice control or directing wheel-mounted controls to work, and on account of the enchantment of the VW group, you'll see it all together over the Audi Extend, with different renditions like VW's Active Info Show introduced in other badge group cars. Need to know the historical backdrop of the Audi Virtual Cockpit, what it can improve the situation you and why it's presumably worth spexing your next car with. In case you're a colored in the fleece car buff someplace north of 35 years old, two beloved recollections will reverberate emphatically: Kit from Knight Rider and the MK2 Vauxhall Astra GTE. Disregard the General Motors Association. What was extremely critical to a 10-year-old child was the affected, essential hued palette of digital dials. Not exclusively did they look cool, they felt like what's to come was at that point here in the mid-1980s, especially when your folks' cars' timekeepers were simple and illuminated in Mateus Rose container green. Obviously, motor shows and magazines had been foreseeing all way of LCD and LED instruments since the coming of the pocket number cruncher over 10 years sooner, yet very regularly the purchasing open weren't so sharp when they at long last wound up noticeably accessible. Austin's endeavor to TSZUJ up the maestro with a digital speedo and verbal notices soon passed by the wayside, while Fiat's full-width electronic fest in the original Tipo didn't have as long an item life cycle as the car it was fitted to. This implied in opposition to the specialists of the time's aggregate conclusion, as opposed to being typical by the 1990s, digital instruments have remained the exemption instead of the run the show. Maybe as of not long ago. You can thank the multiplication of cell phones and tablets for bringing down the unit cost of minimal, configurable LCD screens, which thusly has made them considerably more fiscally alluring to carmakers. For purchasers, they're gradually turning into a more practical thought as a discretionary additional. Volkswagen regularly charges £600 for its Active Info display, so they're clearly a couple of years away yet from being standard fitment crosswise over standard models. What's unquestionably evident is that a regularly expanding number of new and facelifted models are accessible with both conventional instruments, or as Mercedes alludes to them, tubular dials, which isn't a little-known Mike Oldfield collection, and some type of versatile electronic show, the Command Digital Instrument Panel and BenSpeak. Past the superficial idea that they look smooth, rather like a head-up display framework, a versatile instrument binnacle is one of those innovative advances that you consider how you oversaw without it some time recently. Perpetually they enable the driver to design the look and size of the instruments, and in addition changing the degree and profundity of information accessible initially. Notwithstanding boring down through a wide range of fuel productivity and eco-driving measurements, the Virtual Cockpit will likewise show data about what you're tuning into media-wise, who you're conversing with on the telephone or, on superior S&RS review Audis, for example, information about tire temperatures and G-powers pulled while cornering. In any case, overlook all that, since it generally is by all accounts the satellite navigation, or all the more particularly rendered satellite pictures with overlaid maps, that get your passengers gawping. They'd make them utilize it to circumvent the square in the event that you let them. Without a doubt you can, however, when driving, having the guide and turn by divert directional guidelines anticipated from instantly underneath your driving eyeline feels significantly more common. Also, in current cars with such a significant number of different things competing for your consideration, even before the children are ready, that has got the chance to be more secure. There's now an early indication of patterns moving onwards as well, with more current show frameworks discarding the prior skeuomorphic plans for complement illustrations, again recreating what's going on in the cell phone industry. All things considered, shouldn't something planned in the digital age look, well, digital? With the goal that's it, the future we were guaranteed 3 decades prior is at long last upon us, meaning we'll soon be composing the eulogy for conventional, simple dials. Or on the other hand, will we? All things considered, possibly not. Imagine a scenario in which, as virtual cockpits turn out to be adequately institutionalized over the standard car advertised throughout the following decade, that observing, premium clients need something that mirrors their distinction through more customary means, maybe by means of handmade dials made with Swiss watch levels of exactness.